Welcome to the Evolution Podcast. I'm your host, Coach Andy James. I've put this podcast out here to provide support, guidance, and insight through real life experience that I've learned so that you can impact your life through my lessons. This is raw guidance that will help you evolve your body, brain, business, or career. My purpose is to help you build, grow, and evolve into the best version of yourself to live a healthy, wealthy, fulfilled life. Welcome to this episode. Enjoy. Welcome back. It's great to see you again, and good morning, good evening, good afternoon, whatever time of the day it is that you're consuming this. I hope you have a fantastic day. I want to talk to you just briefly today. This is something that has come off the back end of me having a week out of social media, out of the pressures of the expected these days. So it's about your consistency towards producing something for yourself that you're working towards and how you physically feel about it. So I'm going to use myself as the example, as I always do, just simply because it's very relatable. And I tend to say that I live in the real world rather than the one that the highlight reel that we're made to be seen. So for me last week, I decided I'd got to a point where I needed to take a little bit of a pause. And this was a pause in mentally progressing forwards, physically progressing forwards, thinking about the business progressing forwards, just a pause. Now, a lot of people will see that pause as this is something negative. This is something that is getting in the way of me creating a result or working towards something. And that break in momentum is how you physically feel about not getting back on track. You could say this, an easy term to put this towards is dieting. This is a very, very common thing where people would see they start on a Monday, they make great decisions until Wednesday, then all of a sudden they get to Thursday, they may have one thing that wasn't on plan, and then all of a sudden I'll start again on Monday. And it's that consistent cycle where you start showing up, but you're not really progressing moving forwards. Similar principle as to what happened last week, but I tend to look at it in a different way. And that's what I want to share with you today is how I look at what it is that I'm working towards and the efforts that I keep consistently contributing towards making those things happen. Anybody looking back over 10 years ago would say, Andy, you know what? You came through a breakdown and you did some great things to get yourself back on track. That's what I want to know how to overcome, is overcoming anxiety, overcoming depression. And the reality is, you don't ever really overcome them. You kind of stick with them. You learn how to cope with them better. You learn different coping mechanisms and strategies. And you build a life around listening to what your body, mind, and lifestyle is really giving you feedback on. And you respond to that. And that's pretty much what I did last week. So 10 years further forwards, after going through all of those struggles, I'm pretty adaptable to how my mind and body responds to life, stresses, just the ups and downs, the roller coaster of life. So a lot of people would get to that point and say to themselves, I don't feel like I'm riding the highs of progression. I don't feel like I'm at the cusp of all that rewarding work that I've been doing for so long, and I'm not feeling that sense of feedback. Well, majority of the time, there's going to be a truth and there's going to be a realization with this chat with you today. The truth is, those linear moments that you progress upwards and upwards and upwards, nothing stays in a continuous upwards trend ever. And I cannot even tell you how many times I've taken dips or plateaus in moving forwards. But do we ever really speak on those? Because we want to share the things that we feel proud about. And that's those moments where we're riding those highs. You know, it may be X amount of weight loss in a week, or it may be a career advancement, or it may be work that you've been doing for a long period of time and now you're seeing the rewards in your physique. Like, there's all these different things, but that ride, that cusp that you get to the top of that peak, that's the bit that you want to share. The bit that you don't really want to share too much is the plateau or the fall. Now, I'm quite an advocate of sharing the plateau and the fall because for me, and I think for everybody, there's more to learn in the plateau and the fall than what there is trying to ride the cusp of the rewarding peak. And to be able to do that takes a different way of thinking that when you do slam the brakes on life, to be able to regain or just grasp hold of what's been going on for a while, because things tend to move quite fast these days. And sometimes it can feel like things are just slipping through your fingers and you've not got a hold on the world or hold on life. And you want to be able to just grab on that a little bit tighter just every now and again to say, right, just let me rein this back in again. Let me feel like I'm gaining control of what's going on. And I did that last week. So for me, last week was all about, I didn't actually intend to start the week, just as a disclaimer, I did not intend to start the week slamming the brakes on the week. I've been working towards a different kind of social media posting strategy, which, just to share for everybody, by the standards of today, I'm losing more and more interest in being involved in the social media side of things, just simply because what I can share and what I can do for people goes way beyond 7 seconds of somebody's attention span. So my love for wanting to share on a level that is deeper than just surface, that kind of hit me last week. And it hit me hard because I don't have any kind of interest in going, I'm going to dance around to get your attention for 3 seconds and then try and drop a quote that's going to get you into the captions. It's like, no, it's just not me. I'd rather find a different way of trying to impact people's lives. And that's what I spent last week doing. So this is a roundabout way of sort of reframing that whole, what does progress really look like? So last week it was an unintended pause. And the unintended pause really came from me realizing my relationship with social media, with how I share things these days to try and help and inspire other people. And the fact that other people just don't care anymore. They're not actually as bothered now than what they were 2-3 years ago, say going through COVID and going through something where it was a world pandemic. Everybody had the same interest back then. Now, nobody really cares too much. And this is something that is very apparent. It's become very, very self-centered and very, very singular focused. So how do you help somebody or share inspiration that's going to trigger somebody to say, actually, you know what, I can work towards something that's better for myself from hearing what, say, maybe Andy's got to say? Well, last week I said, no, this is not happening this week. This week I'm taking a pause for myself because I need to kind of realign where I'm at and what it is that I'm currently doing and how I physically feel about these things. And that pause for a lot of people would be, I've hit a limit. I've hit something that I'm not happy with anymore. Am I still progressing? I'm worried now that I can't show up or I can't be as intentful as I was previously. Well, the truth is, and this is the truth, you don't ever get to a point in progressing, moving forwards, where if your sole focus is long-term consistency, and long-term consistency looks different for many people. It could be a short-term window, say like 12 weeks. It could be you progressing towards something with small, actionable habits, day in, day out, month in, month out, that have just amounted for years and years and years of progress. All of these different things in themselves are moving you forwards. But how you come back to each one of those moments at a point in time to remind yourself that what it is that you're doing is what you want to be doing, that can take a level of reframing the process that most people aren't aware of. So what I want you to be able to do, and this is I'm going to keep it super simple now, is the next time you feel like you're facing something that is questionable of what you feel like you're doing moving forwards, what I would like you to say to yourself is, the next time I feel like this, I'm going to ... And that's the bit that I want you to really think about, is I'm going to. Because if you keep finding yourself coming back to this point where you're revisiting this same feeling, you're not really moving forwards. But what you need to do is see the plateau. You need to see the fall. Yes, you can enjoy the ride of that peak, that linear cusp, that peak that you've been working towards for so long. But there is guaranteed going to be a plateau or a fall that follows that. And that's the bit that most people aren't ready for. And it's not a negative. It's, what do I want to do next? What do I want to feel? How do I want to show up? What action should I be taking? What things help me continuously reinvest in myself? Not from a financial standpoint, just from an energy perspective. And how does that help me keep moving forwards? Because what you want to be doing is seeing that life is the full game. It's not that short moment in time, because that's technically the play. And you're looking at the play being, what move am I going to make next? And that might be a 12-week transformation. It might be finding a way of dieting, or just, let's just say, eating properly, wholesomely, and healthily for the rest of your life, a long period of time, whatever that may be. That's the play. But the game is it's long-term life. Life is the long-term game here. So if you're looking at progress as being, well, I rode the cusp of that rewarding peak, now I feel flat, now I feel negative, now I don't know where to go, that's the bit that you need to reevaluate. And that's what I spent time doing last week. I pulled myself out of social media. I turned a lot of the notifications off on phones and kind of disconnected from the world a little bit. And I started to ask myself, what is it that I really actually want? What do I want right now? And how do I physically feel about it? How can I go about creating that? And not one point did I ever tell myself that, well, this is me failing. This is me going backwards. This is me taking a sidestep in life. Not once did I ever punish myself in a way where I said, this is me failing at what I said that I started out to create. Not in the slightest. What you should be looking at is, how do I get to enhance the rest of my life right now? Do I want to be working towards what I'm currently working towards? Or my goals or my vision or my dreams changed? Have they grown any more than what they were? Because I hope to say that they should have. You should be a bigger and better person 2 weeks, 6 months, 2 years down the line from when you first started. That goal was to get you moving. Now that you're moving, where can you go? What can you do with that? What is it that you actually want to create from a life that you've got in front of you now? Because remember, the game of life is the long-term game. It's the full game in itself. You're just looking at the small plays in life right now to get you through to the end of the full game. And I want to talk about the end of the game being the thing, but you want to make sure that whatever you're doing, you leave a legacy. You leave something behind for yourself that you can say to yourself, well, you know what? I made this decision. I made this choice. It led me here. I produced this for my life. And now look at what it is that I've built. I've built this for myself that I'm proud of. And you're going to go through many highs and many lows and many plateaus along the way to get to where it is that you want to be. But truth be told, you never actually really stop playing the game. You just play it from different play perspective. You play it from different angles. Last week, for me, that was just me reframing where I'm at, what I want to be doing, and maybe changing the goal or vision just slightly of what I want to be doing in the future. I'm 40 years old now. You've probably known this from many, many other podcasts that I talk about. And it hit me last week that, am I building a life that I want in 10, 15 years time? Or am I building a life that is just reactive to my state right now? And that's the thing that hit me. That was my truth last week, where my state right now is built on being reactive to the moment that is surrounding me right now. And that's why I think intentionally, I'm going to be focusing more on long-term content, like long-form content, like sharing podcasts, YouTube, maybe longer videos, and hope that people do find these things, that do find it helpful, that does inspire them to do something with them, because dancing around for 7 seconds just is not my thing. And I have no intention of wanting to do that or ever will be doing that. So for me, last week was a moment in time where I got to say to myself, does the play on how you've been doing things change now? Because how you feel about things, how you've grown as an individual has changed. And it has, and it does. So I encourage you, and this is what I'm going to leave you with. I encourage you to take every single piece of rewarding feeling from every high that you can create from every effort that you've given. You deserve it. But I also don't want you to give up when you feel like the plateau's kicking in. I also don't want you to give up when you feel like maybe things are taking a fall, because there are going to be more plateaus and more falls than what they are wins and cusps of peak linear progression. And by doing so, you'll gain more from the plateaus and the falls, and you'll create so much more from life and what you want from it by learning from those moments and kind of reinvesting yourself in each one of those processes as you move forwards. Remember, life is the long game. What you want from it are just momentary plays along the way that get you to that end goal. Have an awesome start, middle, or end to your day, and I hope you have a fantastic week. I'll speak to you or see you in the next one. Take care. If you're still here at this point, thank you. I appreciate your support, and I hope you got some value from this podcast. If you did, we grow by word of mouth, so sharing this podcast with a friend or to your social media profile would be a huge honor. Thanks again. Hope to catch you in the next one. Take care.